day after. It was the day after the rite of passage of their baby. What a party it had been. It had been a party full of lavish food, presents, speeches, and of course the parade. The parade had started from the beach, up through the village to the special place. The baby had been lopped on the side a big turtle and had been balancing up through the street with everybody shouting hooray. When they finally came to the center point, lavish food had been prepared. Steve had created a special dinner made of monkey brain. He said, "It's a special occasion, we need special food. No need for just eating normal coconuts and bananas. Today we need something special." They weren't quite sure how good monkey brain was and whether the tradition will take on, but the problem is, when something has begun, it has to be carried through, and now they knew that every time a baby has been born, monkey brain had to be eaten. There had also been presents. Oh, what a present that had been. People had gone to a great extent to find the best presents ever. Harryman had, that was his name. No one could quite remember what his real name was. His real name was actually Carl. But now everybody, they looked simply so ravish. There was no barber shop anymore. So people just grew this hair. And this Carl, his hair was growing wilder than anyone else. He did though have one skill besides from growing lots of hair. He could dive down into the sea. And he had dived down to the sea outside the reef where the sharks go, and he had dived 10 meters down and found a very, very rare shell. And this shell he had made into a necklace. The rest of the necklace was full of big precious seeds, which he explained was a sign of new life, as the baby was. So the shell for the baby being precious, and the seeds for new life. That present was very special to Mummy Jane. Mummy Jane, as she called herself, that was actually her real name, but her husband was actually now just named as Tarzan. "Me, Mummy Jane, you Tarzan," she would say. It was like the whole thing had just turned into a big adventure. One day they were engaged, then they were married, and then they went on a big cruise ship, then it crashed, and now they're living on an island with a new baby. The parade had been good. Everybody had been wearing the best clothes. Everybody was wearing ball gowns, which was quite funny, but it was the only thing they remember from the trip. Everybody kept the ball gowns. They looked pretty raggedy, but now it didn't matter anymore about being raggedy. The only thing that matters was about being clean. And everybody had worn these things and made the day really special. There had also been a speech, and the speech was by the captain, and yes, the captain's speech. Mummy Jane walked over in the morning to the baby, just remembering how the captain had said, and I name this baby. She stopped in her tracks, and then she screamed, "Ah!" Tarzan came along and said, "What is it, honey? Honey, what is it?" At this point in time, Mummy was holding the baby on one leg and searching through the empty turtle shell looking for something. The baby was starting to gaggle. He had a big dung beetle in his mouth that they were using for a dummy, and they didn't know, and he didn't know what was up or down. And Tarzan said, "What's going on? What's going on?" Mummy Jane looked at him with desperate eyes, and he said, "It's gone. It's gone." And my mum and Tarzan knew exactly what it was. The necklace was gone. He screamed as well. "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." The rest of the village came along and shouted, "What's going on? What's going on? People are screaming." Shouty lady, she started shouting even louder than she normally shouted when she found out that the necklace was gone. Everybody got really, really upset. it turned into a stampede, a rampage. People rummaged through the whole street. People emptied everything until they came to Colin's shed. They went through Colin's shed as well, and there, among all his shells, was the necklace. The necklace made of the rarest seashell and seas for new life. It had been too big a temptation for Colin, and Colin had taken it. People was really angry. Shouty lady shouted even louder than she normally would shout. She said, "String him up." Others said, "Feed him to the sharks." And people said, "Cut off his left toe." Why cut off his left toe? I don't know. People was angry. They couldn't help themselves. All the frustration from living on an island for 9 months without the normal electricity they were used to, it was just too much, and they had to give in, give someone the blame. And here was Colin, having stolen something so precious. It had to be him. "Stop!" screamed the captain. "Let's look at the rules." And then Lumpy Man looked. "Which rules?" "Oh, my goodness," said the captain. "That's the problem. We have forgotten to make any rules. This island has worked so well until the first crime, and now I realize what we need to have. We need to have a set of rules." Everybody looked at each other. My goodness, he's right. Let's get to action. Let's make some rules for some crimes, and then we can see if the punishment can fit the crime. That's what it is. And then we will string them up if that's what our rule says. But first, let's make some rules.